Road Safety Champion Program webinar put on by Virginia's Safety Circuit Rider Program, housed at the University of Virginia. I have a couple people here helping me today. Alexis, who just turned off her camera, and then Taryn Forrest as well. So the three of us will help manage this. And then we have some guest speakers today, and I will introduce them when we get to that point. And I'll just give it a moment or a little bit more time, let a few people trickle in. We got 2 minutes after the hour, and then we'll kick this thing off. Tamara, it's good to see you. And I don't know. What do you think, Alexis? You want to get going?
Yes, let's get started.
All right, good to see you too.
Good stuff. All right, so once again, welcome to the Road Safety Champion Program webinar. We've got a couple guests who are on board today to talk about the program and from a national perspective, and then at the local perspective. So we have representatives from towns and cities, from VDOT, and then from the National Center for Rural Roads Safety. So thanks for being here today with us to learn more about the Road Safety Champion Program. And I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing started with our first speaker, which we're super excited to have her here to walk through the Road Safety Champion Program from the national perspective. Her name is Jamie Sullivan, and she is the director of the National Center for Rural Road Safety. And she's a senior research engineer at the Western Transportation Institute at Montana State University, Bozeman. She has more than 20 years of experience in rural transportation safety. She has a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from UMass Amherst and a Master of Science in Civil Engineering, goodness gracious, from Texas A&M. It's a tongue twister for me. She's a fighting Texas Aggie, I guess that makes her. She is a registered engineer in the state of Montana. Jamie, it's great to have you on board, and welcome to our webinar today.
Thank you, and thank you guys for inviting me to speak and for talking about the Road Safety Champion Program. I'm just going to get these slides pulled up for y'all. Okay. So I wanted to start off just by talking a little bit about the impact of safety. So in 2021, last year, it was estimated that just under 43,000 people were killed in crashes on our roadways. And that comes out to about 118 roadway fatalities per day, which will be about 5 roadway fatalities while we're in this workshop today. And that's absolutely unacceptable. And I know if you're joining us today that you truly believe that and you want to help and get that number to what it should be, which is 0. All of those fatalities, when we start talking about them as numbers, we talk about them as statistics, but really it's a person with a name and a background and a family and friends. And those people are someone's most important people. And so our goal is always to make sure that everyone who's on our roadways, whether they're a driver, a walker, a microtransit user, a micromobility user, whatever they're using our roadways for, is that they make it to their destination safely. And so where we are now is that just under 43,000 roadway fatalities, as I just mentioned, and where we want to be is that goal of 0. And how we get there is by doing a few things. One of those is by having a traffic safety culture foundation, or considering that safety is our absolute priority and we have that safety mindset. And then we can use some techniques such as the safe system approach for how we get there. And so where we can start in doing this is making sure that we're implementing mechanisms or practices to prioritize safety, both for ourselves personally, but also within our organizations. And we can do this by training our staff on techniques, skills, and policies for road safety and how to incorporate those into their everyday work and what they're already doing. helping to motivate our workforce to implement safety improvements that can reduce that number of fatalities and serious injuries to zero. Making sure that we're fostering a safety-minded workforce, and really that every time we go out there and do something that we're thinking safety. So even if it's just that we're driving down the roadway, that we're looking out for what some of those safety challenges could be, that we can make sure that we're letting people know who can fix those, make improvements as they go. We're looking for things such as, the signs not being retroreflective or maybe not being seen because they're covered by shrubs. We're looking for the ways that we can implement safety into our planning as we're doing just normal transportation projects, how we can incorporate some of those safety pieces as well. And then remembering, most importantly, that safety is a shared responsibility. It's a part of everyone's job, whether you are the person using the road or whether or not we are a transportation planner or engineer, whether we're on the public health side and encouraging people to wear seatbelts and use helmets, whether we're a local elected official and we're really talking about some of those policies and funding for safety. And we can help encourage all of this by creating road safety champions and really making sure that we have those people out there who are talking and thinking about road safety all the time. And so we put together this road safety champion program to help work with all of those things and really create a workforce that is safety minded and has those safety champion programs. It's a nationally recognized workforce development certificate with the long-term goal of building this knowledgeable workforce to really help us implement safety improvements and reduce our injuries and fatalities on rural and local roadways. The program was established by the National Center for Rural Road Safety, the National Association of County Engineers, the National Local Technical Assistance Program and Tribal Technical Assistance Program Association, and the West Region Transportation Workforce Center. The benefits to people who would like to be a candidate for this program is that you can acquire new skills to advance your professional development and your job satisfaction. You gain that safety knowledge and skills that can be used every day on your local roads. Learn how to be a champion for safety issues within your organization, and then also receive a nationwide view that supports some of the national initiatives that are coming down the line. So we've created this structure to incorporate that shared responsibility that I talked about. And so we have broken it into several different job duties, including maintenance and construction, planning and engineering, public health, and law enforcement, to show what some of those unique perspectives are. But everyone takes our core modules, which I'm going to talk about, and these help to make sure that we're breaking down silos and that we're working as a team, because we know that with safety and getting us to zero fatalities and serious injuries, really it takes a team mentality, and that everyone needs to do their part, but that we shouldn't be doing that in a silo by ourselves. We really need to be working together. And so these core modules are taken by everybody participating in the program. They include an introduction to road safety, an anatomy of crash, and understanding human factors, so we can really understand why things are the way they are, and how we can accommodate for human mistakes and the human vulnerability that we have. An introduction to traffic safety culture, which talks a little bit about how we can become more safety minded and really prioritize safety in everything we do. An overview of the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, which is a document that's very important as we start putting out signs and markings on the roadways. A discussion of the intersection of transportation with public health and law enforcement, and understanding why safety really is a public health concern and how we can work together with those other team members, as I talked about, and breaking down the silos. And then we have reading the roadway, is how to make sure that as you are out on the roadway itself, in whatever capacity you're out there, that you are able to identify what some of those safety challenges are, to report them so that we can make sure that we are putting in countermeasures and making corrections to make the roadway more safe. And then the safety analysis process, talking about some of the data and how we use that. We then broke down the program into 4 specific career pathways. Right now we have built out the first 2. The public health enforcement ones are being worked on and will be coming later. But so you can choose whether or not you'd like to follow the maintenance and construction path after you finish the core modules, or if you would like to do the planning and engineering path. And you can see on the screen some of those courses that are available within those pathways. For example, in maintenance and construction, we talk about work zones, traffic incident management, how to take action and maintain safety. In planning and engineering, we talk about things such as what some of the countermeasures are we can put out to improve safety, what a local road safety plan is, and how we can use the data that comes from crash reporting. And so with this, I'm going to stop and let Walt talk a little bit about what Virginia is doing, but you can find more information on the national program on our website. You can also contact me if you have absolutely any questions. And I will leave you with saying Happy Rural Road Safety Awareness Week. Today's day is on proven safety countermeasures. So you can see our poster there on the screen with safety heroes. And the fact that you guys are all joining us today and learning more about becoming a safety champion also makes you a safety hero. So thank you for joining us, and happy Rural Road Safety Awareness Week.
Hey, thanks, Jamie, for walking us through the program from a national perspective and in your comments. I won't talk long at all as it pertains to the Virginia program, but I do want to take just a moment to share some thoughts. Our Road Safety Champion program, which we have a couple of road safety champions on the call with us today, and I even see some in a boardroom here as well who've joined us today. Hey, Valerie, good stuff. So our program is a pretty, I would say it's a convenient program for those to gain awareness about the different techniques for roadway safety to improve your knowledge. We meet every Monday in the afternoon. We run from 1 to 5 o'clock. It's 4 hours of virtual training, but we come together just like this about every hour and 15 minutes, and we visit for 30 minutes discussing the content we just learned independently. We'll watch lectures that are pre-recorded, take a quiz, and we'll do assignments. And the assignments take us to those places that Jamie touched on, that take us to federal FHWA site for local road safety plans and road safety audits. And so maybe a little bit, some of those items are a little bit more robust than some of the other classes where we do raise awareness about how important it is to make sure, especially this time of year, the vegetation is cut back so our line of sight is clear, so drivers have the time to react to things that are being put before them as they're driving. So that's the Road Safety Champion program in Virginia. If you sign up as a road safety champion, the training's free. And it's free because the National Center for Rural Road Safety provided us the curriculum, which we deliver, and VDOT's traffic engineering, specifically their safety personnel at the central office, support it for us. And we have a gentleman from their office, Deepak, is in the room today, and so we got a whole bunch of people in the room that we can lean on today. And after we get done with our presentations, and if you have questions, by all means, shoot them in the chat room, and one of us will answer them. And I'm sure some of us do have some questions. And so I'm gonna pause right there from the Virginia's perspective side on Road Safety Champion. And I'm going to introduce one of our second guest speaker. I think I'll just start with Brian. Brian, because you have a little slide deck that you're going to walk us through, and I'll just do a quick introduction of Brian. Brian is a road safety champion. He's with the city of Virginia Beach, and he's worked in the traffic engineering section there for over 20 years. Prior to that, he worked in their traffic operations division for about 10 years. He has a BS in civil engineering from Old Dominion University. He currently heads up the city of Virginia Beach's traffic calming program. Brian's a two-time winner of the John Hanna Award in traffic safety for outstanding achievement in roadway innovation. And as I just said, he's completed the Road Safety Champion program here in Virginia, and he focused on the planning and engineering track. finish that in June 2022. Brian, thanks so much for being here with us today, and I'm gonna kind of hand it over to you for your presentation.
Well, that's good. I took some of the classes and I went forward with maybe a small case study. I'm not sure that's the direction I'm supposed to go in, but we had most of this data already prepared. So I'll see if I can get my shared screen going here. I guess you don't see the intersection yet.
Not yet.
Oh, yeah.
So Brian, if you click share screen, it's a green button at the, oh, there we go.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So we had a high accident location when some of us were starting to take this class. So anyhow, we used some of the skills that we learned in the rural roads component and applied them to this particular intersection. So you can see what makes this a little bit more of a rural roads is near a large military airport, and we don't have much in the way of traffic control in the area. So it's okay. All right. So you get a little bit of the characteristics here. Here's an aerial photo. If you look to a little bit to the left, you can see part of the private, the Navy's runway. But long story short, we got 85 to 60 miles an hour and about 32,000 cars a day using this road. And we ended up with a high accident location up here near this curve where my pointer is. So we, at the same time, we're taking these classes from Becky and Walt, and we decided to implement some of these. This is again a street view of the same intersection. 32,000 ADT, excuse me, ADTs of about 32,000 with 85th of 60, which is pretty fast. This is just a brainstorming session that we used with our in-house office people, and these are some of the ideas that we came up with. It's pretty boring, but we did put down a criteria of what we thought we could do as far as easy versus heavy, super elevations, probably not going to survive, but we did go forward with the things in green we were able to go forward with and still working through. We used the METCD, the yellow book, which is actually pretty good, and the roadside design book. I think all of these are federal manuals that helped us with that. The yellow book helped a lot because it assigns particular values for the crash reduction. So we went forward here with some mini skips through a driveway, not something we typically do. We also had a tree up here excuse me, the tree is right here. We have a split rail fence. Well, it got hit, and then right here it got hit, and we removed the tree. We worked with the Navy. Here's a picture of the mini skips that we put on the outside edge. Again, something that's not traditionally done, but in this case, we had a significant amount of crashes. Whoops. We added the additional roadway marking signs here, put in an extra set of them, and I've cut the work order, issued a work order, put the transverse rumble strips. This is not a residential area, so that's why this is part of this is a rural roads treatments, because we don't have to deal with noise factors from adjacent homes. But we have to get that contractor to help us with the rumble strips. So those are going to go in. Our own sign crew took care of the sign. So this was done very recently. You can see we added the reflectorized poles, strips on the poles to identify that there are a lot of curve coming up. And the additional treatments we're going to do is, well, we worked with the Navy because we didn't want to interfere with their operations, landscape services, as well as the police department. The city of Virginia Beach, where I work at, and I'm proud to work here, we do have a traffic safety improvement capital fund. So we do get about $500,000 a year for spot improvements. And we both had in-house and annual services contractor help us. We're still waiting on the rumble strips to go in. In addition to that, we've ordered W118s, the sequential arrows will have blinking, flashing beacons around them, and there'll be solar, and we can set them up in a pattern to carry someone through the curve. All of this to reduce crashes. So anyhow, those are some of the things that we've applied to this that we learned from the roadway safety champion effort. That was a lot. I don't know if I went too fast or too slow, but
No, that's perfect, Brian, because we're just going to kind of let the room push us the direction we go with today's roundtable, and you taking a moment to share how you use some of your training. I realize you have the background to do it without the training, but the training provided you some opportunities to put that stuff to use.
what helps is sometimes we have salesman types that have the newest and greatest thing. And when we talk to other towns and cities and states and, traffic organizations, we can find out, did it really work? Because the salesmen sometimes over exaggerate their benefit cost ratios. And it's really good to find out, if it's got some real merit to it or, what it does. I mean, we've kind of gone crazy here at the beach and we've put in yellow backplates about on every traffic signal we can find. But they do have a solid, crash reduction factor based on the yellow book. So that's a standard practice now. And it's probably helped us. I mean, it has a crash reduction of, I think, somewhere in the 14%, and it's very little cost to reduce 14% of your crashes at signalized intersections.
Yeah, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Okay, Brian, I'm going to keep you, if you don't mind, just go ahead and leave your camera on because we're going to bring in our other member of the roundtable, and that is Kent O'Donohue. Kent, I'm going to go ahead and introduce you. You see, you just popped up there. Kent graduated from Virginia Tech with a BLA and has been a licensed landscape architect for 9 years. Additionally, 5 years ago, he earned his MBA from JMU. Before he started at the town of Bridgewater, he worked in the civil engineering profession for over 11 years. He spent most of those years as an engineering project manager and project engineer, with the final 4 years as an associate. During his time in the private sector, he designed and oversaw the construction of a diverse field of projects, including commercial, industrial, residential, subdivision, secondary and primary roads, and a few institutional projects. Kent is also a road safety champion, and as the town engineer for the town of Bridgewater, he now manages their MS4 program, develops design plans for various projects, and aids in routine plan review and maintenance for the town. Kent, so great to have you on board. Appreciate you being here. I don't know if before I start hammering y'all with questions, if you wanted to say howdy.
Hello, everybody. It's a real opportunity to be here and speak to you all, and hopefully we're able to guide many of you, if not all of you, towards this great opportunity that Walt and everybody has put on. So thank you.
Good stuff, Kent. And we see a couple of us have our cameras on, and normally with this, we'd ask you to leave yours off. But since it's just going to kind of be an open forum, I'm going to ask Brian and Kent some questions. Jamie, you're welcome to weigh in and as well. But if y'all are comfortable with turning your camera on, I think that'll be great. It'll make it fun for us all. And you'll get to experience what how we conduct our live discussions, our 30-minute live discussions each day when we do our training. That was my invitation for y'all to turn your camera on. All right. Okay. So I thought I'd go ahead and just get this going with, Ken, I'll hit you with it first. Of all the classes you took with Road Safety Champion program, which one was the most beneficial to you?
It's called P&E number 4. I did the plan and engineering track. It was the overview of data tools for safety. And the big reason for that is, all the other classes seem to focus on the countermeasures and work safety and how to solve the problem. I felt like, but that one really brought together all the material, and there's a lot of it in tools that are out there that really allow you to identify the problems, but then also kind of prioritize them. And what I also appreciate about the course in general is that it really tries to prioritize projects from a holistic, what makes the most sense, what's going to be the biggest impact point of view. You know, it's not like let's just throw a bunch of money at something type thing. And I think that applies in real life a lot more than just learning about a bunch of expensive countermeasures you could do.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Thanks, Kent. Brian, before I babble any, I'll let you take a stab at that if you don't mind.
Sure. I thought the most beneficial class was the countermeasure workshop, where we had to evaluate the countermeasures that we wanted to apply to specific crashes, because we're heavily data driven. And you're right, we don't have a lot of cash to throw at everything. But if you look at the yellow book and find the add one, overhead street light at a T intersection has a crash reduction factor of 0.20. That's 20% reductions. That's huge. You don't have your lessons learned is narrowed down to a specific. Now, getting the electricity to it might be a challenge, but the counter road measure workshop, I think, is the most beneficial.
Good stuff, Brian. Yeah, I appreciate that. And I guess you'd say I get the opportunity to go through all the content as well with the students, and there's just I believe a handful of us say it. There's just so much information there. One of our current students, Scott Kessiker with City of Waynesboro, one of his comments is that he made recently during training was after every one of the classes, he has a list of to-do items to go follow up on these things that he just learned that he's got to spend some more time on, because there's just so much information. Kelly, thank you for turning on your camera, and it's great to see you. Jamie, how did we come up with the content? Is that something you could touch on for us just a little bit?
It is. So for the maintenance and construction side, we did a research project on what the core competencies should be and what would be needed on that side. And then for the planning and engineering side, we had a lot of help from the National Association of County Engineers on what they felt like those core competencies should be and what was needed to properly be able to do safety. And we also leaned heavily on our Federal Highway Administration partners and the major topics that they really feel are important for improving safety as well.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing that, Jamie. Valerie, I don't know if y'all have the ability to turn your microphone on there.
We do. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. So I made the mistake the other day and said, well, Virginia Beach doesn't have much rural roads. And so Valerie had to square me away real quick, which I deserved it. You're a road safety champion as well. Anything you'd like to add to the discussion?
I think it's a worthwhile program. As I'm getting all my people to go through it, get you thinking about systemic improvements and things like that, and get nice little certificates so you can advertise how positive it is. So
Good stuff. Thanks, Valerie. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but you're there. I've got a call on you. All right, good stuff. When we do our training, we have these live discussions just like this. They're normally about 30 minutes long, and then we run off for an hour and 15 minutes and watch pre-recorded lectures, the content which we got from the National Center for Rural Road Safety. And then we do assignments, as I talked and as I said earlier, and that gives us a little time to kind of build on that material. Kent, do you mind touching on when we come together in these live Zoom sessions, how beneficial was that to the learning process, I guess you'd say?
Well, I think anytime that you combine multiple minds of diverse groups and diverse fields, you're always going to get added perspective. And I think that was really what was beneficial from it, was just there's always a moment where somebody said something that I didn't think about. And I was like, oh, that's great. That's a great point. And also the way that y'all have it programmed out, it's not too terribly long, so it doesn't feel like there's much room to kind of ramble and waste a lot of time. You kind of get to the point, everybody shares their thoughts, and you move on.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's only so much time.
Mhm.
And one of our main goals is to make sure everyone has an opportunity to talk during our live discussions. No one really gets to hide back in the corner of the room or
Yeah.
be passive. They got to lean forward and participate. So, Kent, thanks for that comment. Brian, how about you? You got anything to add about that?
No, he hit the main points. It's important to share our traffic and driving struggles with other towns to find out what works and what doesn't work. So, no, he did a good job on that.
Okay, good. There's quite a bit of content that the center put together for us. It takes, I'd say, it probably, if you don't miss a class, it probably takes 3 months. You think 3 months to get everything done? I'm going to say 3 months without all the Monday half days, and so there's a bunch of stuff that we learn. I guess a question I might have is, a lot of times when we go to training, we sit through it and we don't ever get an opportunity to apply that knowledge. Kent, and Brian kind of touched on it with his presentation. Have you had the opportunity, anything you'd like to share with the group about how you've been able to apply some of that knowledge?
From a planning perspective, I've been able to. From implementation, I have not. And one thing I've been able to do is get with our police chief and get all of the traffic data together that he has that was maybe not on the VDOT traffic data tool. And he has a couple old hard drives that I can also go through too, but I haven't done that yet. And so really knowing who to ask, where to go, what information is important. And then just driving around town, because it's about 25 miles worth of roads, so not much. Driving around town, I'm able to identify some critical points and points of improvement that we can hopefully have implementation for one day. So it's just great. I'd say the best way to say it is I drive around town now with a little bit more, my eyes a little bit more open.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, I won't call it a problem, but I have the same problem as well. I now drive down the road and I notice things that I've never noticed before. So certainly a big takeaway. Brian, I know you gave your case study. Anything you want to add, how you've been able to apply the knowledge from the training?
No, it was just important to know that other towns struggle again with the same thing. We always want to find out what worked, what didn't work. I know up north they're using a lot of lighted up crosswalks, but then when you talk to a local town engineer, they'll tell you, how they were kind of somewhat disappointed in them. But it's real important to get lessons learned from other towns and cities before we go invest a lot of money. I really like the fact that we have the yellow book that actually gives you viable numbers to apply to generate a benefit cost ratio. And it's also easier for us to sell it up the line with the management or our budget office with what we're asking for. When we have real numbers to support, the reduction in crashes with this particular new traffic item.
Perfect. Thanks, Brian. I guess something I believe the group it'd be worth hearing is I wrote the question, why would you encourage others to participate in the Road Safety Champion program? I don't know how else to ask that question. So I guess
I think it's a good question because we're all interested in Vision Zero. But if you talk to somebody like our group, we bought some of these sequential arrows that have the chevrons, and we can say, yeah, it worked, or no, it didn't. Then they won't be spending their resources, and they can go on to something that might be effective. I mean, the chevron signs it's going to cost us over $20,000 to get the solar flashing chevrons out on site. And I want it to work. That's a lot of taxpayer money. Thank goodness the yellow book supports what we're trying to do, but you don't want to spend money on things that are kind of ineffective. And sometimes it seems cool, just a different color sign, but in the end, it doesn't seem to have a measurable reduction in crashes.
Perfect. Ken, how about you? Any comments on encouragement or why you might want to do this training?
I mean, I think that if your role is, I mean, I certainly wouldn't want to discourage, your standard citizen, but if your role is specifically to is the responsibility of safe design, implementation, maintenance of streets for your municipality or for VDOT or whatever, then I think that it's kind of a no-brainer that it would benefit you because it's opening you up to so much information that you may not, or maybe a little bit of information, but still there you will learn something from it, even if you were an expert before. And so I think it's always beneficial to expand your knowledge of resources and solutions to be able to improve road safety. And to answer your question about the time, the Monday afternoons, half days, I think there was one full day class, which was the flagger class or work day class. But other than that, they were all half days. And I think I started in like the first week of January, and I would have, if I didn't miss that one class that I had to make up, I would have been done at the end of March. So that would have been 3 months. Yeah.
And then you had to go through the hammer, Alexis, if you miss a class.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all good stuff. Well, hey, thanks for those comments. So I see a question in the chat room. Where do you go to register for courses? And did you say that they're all free? Andy, they are all free. And Alexis is going to drop something in the chat room so you can go sign up for Road Safety Champion. Hey, if I didn't do a polling question in one of my live sessions, I don't think y'all would be comfortable. So, just for the fun of it, let's go ahead and do a polling question. And there's no wrong answer here, everybody. So just pick the one that jumps out most at you, and we'll talk about it for a second. Which of the following behavioral factors contributes the most to the risk of crashes in your jurisdiction or locality? Aggressive driving, impaired driving, illegal driving, or driver inattention / distraction? So just take a moment, pick one of those. Like I said, there is not a wrong answer. Just pick the one that jumps out at you. And
It went away before I could pick one.
What? Holy moly. Did it really? We haven't stopped. We haven't shared it yet. Well, did you see the questions?
Yeah, I saw the question. I was about to pick it, then it went away.
Yeah, it went away too fast.
Interesting. Okay,
I
well,
saw the answers.
All right, let's try that again.
we're going to do it again.
Can you guys see it again?
This does happen.
Yeah,
a
we're
lot.
good. We're good.
All right. Go for it. Now we can just knock it out real quick. Okay. Got you, Miguel.
Now, well, I've never been on this side of the poll, so
Yeah.
it was a little weird for me. I was sitting here trying to click my answer, and I was like, wait, why can't I do it?
Yeah. So I get to watch as people answer, and it's like
Yeah.
when you're at the when you're at the fair and you're shooting the water gun at those horses, and
Yeah.
slowly, that's kind of what it looks like to me. All right, so we're gonna end that poll and share it with y'all, and you can see how everyone answered. And so when we do our training, we'll ask these at the beginning of our live discussion, and it'll be linked directly to what we just learned. And so it makes for a good, healthy discussion. So just so everyone gets an experience of this, by a show of hands, who selected driver inattention or distraction? Hey, Kelly, if you don't mind, you want to share with the group why you selected that?
I'll be, it was honestly just, I don't have the data in front of me. I just assumed, and I remember there being a conversation when we were with the Lynchburg district, they were talking about speeding. So I almost said aggressive driving, but I don't have anything specific to back that up. It's just what I think it is. So Sorry.
Well, and like I said, there's no wrong answer here. We're asking why you picked it, and that's the one that jumps out at you. So good stuff. Thank you, Kelly. Kimberly, I think I saw your hand go up. If you'd like to take a moment and unmute and share why you pick that.
Well, because being an SRTS coordinator, I'm always in the school zones and I'm forever seeing people driving and texting or on their phones or having breakfast while they're driving. So yeah, I would lean more towards their being inattentive.
Very nice. Thank you, Kimberly. All right, I won't torture y'all. I won't make everyone speak, but generally I'll go around the room and get comments from everybody. And Miguel touches on, you can interpret all these, you can go with all of them. And, that's kind of how it's set up. It's set up to make us have some exercise, a little critical thinking and, develop what we just learned. All right, so I'm gonna shut down that poll. I just wanted y'all to have fun with that for a second. Hopefully you did. The other one was impaired driving, and I would ask the room on that as well, but I'll freeze without going any further. Let's see here. I have a question here. Is there a specific experience you'd like to share with the group that you took away from Road Safety Champion? Kent, is that something you'd like to touch on, share with the group?
I really just like the different people from all over, just because you're kind of with the same people the whole time. So getting to know them and hearing, like a couple of them were in the Dulles area. One guy was from Michigan. So kind of hearing what different states, what different areas, different densities, all kind of experience and see, and why their answers to some of those polls were different than mine, because the areas are different in general. And so just kind of hearing all that, I thought was nice, helpful.
Yeah, well said. It's a lot of times people answer the questions based on their experiences or what they do on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And we live in our own little bubble. And so it's good to hear the other comments. You hit on something big there, Kent. I appreciate it. Brian, how about you?
I might have read into the question a little different, but it is good to talk to other people around the entire state, because here in Virginia Beach or the Hampton Roads area, we seem to have a significant problem with, bad behavior on motorcycles. And I don't think it's statewide. We're just at a little bit of a loss. But anyhow, it's always good to talk to other people around the state and find out, what is a contributing factor to crashes. But definitely in this town, young men on motorcycles is really racking up a lot of fatalities.
Yeah.
So we're left with a puzzle. How do we address that?
Oh yeah, that's a good comment, Brian. Yeah, so different areas are going to have different areas. Different areas around the state are going to have things that will be more prominent than others. I drove through, visited Kent and Bridgewater the other day. Speed limit, 25 miles per hour. That was hard. That was hard.
Yeah, years ago they just blanketed it. They just said all streets 25 because to fix really safety problems. They're like, you know what? It's 25 miles worth of road. People can go 25 while they're going through the town or side streets or whatever. And so and it really hasn't been a problem. People follow it. And there's just one road coming into town that's 45 that slows down to 35, and that road definitely could benefit from edge treatments and shoulder treatments and stuff like that. But besides that one,
it's pretty calm. That 25 mile per hour helps a lot.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, I see some action going on in the chat room, and it looks like that's being taken care of. So that's wonderful. Thanks to everyone who's helping out with that. We do have a gentleman from Virginia DOT, Deepak Kerala, and I asked him if he could take a moment and just share some things that VDOT is promoting right now that I think we would all benefit from. And so, Deepak, you're here. Go ahead, talk to us.
Walt, thank you. Thank you what you are doing and developing the knowledgeable workforce through the Road Safety Champion program. I think this is just like the having a professional engineer or professional traffic operation engineer certification. So it's a great things you are doing, and we always encourage. And from VDOT side, our Commonwealth Transportation Board approved to move towards systemic safety initiative. And I think that is which we can relate with the safe system approach. I think Brian and Kelly, they talk about the Vision Zero. So we are moving towards that, implementing systemic safety initiative. And we are focusing on local localities who maintain their own roads. And we are opening safety applications for the local this time, and the smart portal will open on August 1st, and we are doing the workshop next week. I think we send all the emails the statewide. If anyone interested, please directly send to email. So I would say by learning from so many folks that took the Road Safety Champion program, I think this is a great program, so everyone can have to enhance safety and to reach the Vision Zero goal.
Great stuff, Deepak. I appreciate that. Y'all's safety page, I don't know if that's said correctly, Deepak, but y'all's on your website, your safety page, it has a wealth of information.
Right.
And if anyone on the call hasn't visited that, you should. There's just a ton of info there. And as Deepak said, VDOT is pushing here recently a systemic approach to roadway safety, and there's a handful of initiatives that are identified on the webpage that the board has identified to pursue. And the training of Road Safety Champion really hits on all the approaches, but we do spend a lot of time on systemic safety countermeasures. One item of interest, because we've had people ask us, is the training just focused? Kent and Brian, I didn't prep y'all for this, but I think you're good ones to answer it. Is the training just rural road specific? I mean, is it just all about rural road safety, or does it take everything into account? Kent, you mind touching on that?
Yeah, so I actually kind of questioned this a few times as I took the program too, and I think I finally figured it out. The big problem with rural areas is that if you treated every single safety issue along every single road from a system standpoint, then it would be a lot of money. So the program is designed to be able to identify properly ways to improve things as kind of a best bang for your buck. But I don't want to emphasize the buck part of that. I mean, money's not the pure focus. It's just how do you make it as safe as possible without having to, call in all the dogs. And but the analysis tools and figuring out what the problems are and the countermeasures and all the stuff you're learning is very applicable everywhere. So I think the rural part is really just about how to kind of prioritize, because in rural areas, you're going to be spending a lot of money if you try to apply all of that on every single road.
Well said, Kent. Thanks for touching on it. Brian, you got anything to add?
No, not really. It benefits a lot of roads outside of the world.
Jamie, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
And so while we are the National Center for Rural Road Safety, this particular program, we tried to make it a little bit more broad and not just on rural. You'll see a lot of rural examples and rural information in there, but we really tried to focus this particular one on local practitioners. So the jurisdictions that you guys are working in versus the rural nature of the roadway and the characteristics. So you'll see that we do bring it up and talk about it and sprinkle it in throughout each of the different pieces. But we did try and make this particular safety champion program a little bit more broad, just to fit everybody.
And I believe it is. So yeah, good stuff. Thanks for y'all's 3 comments on that. All right. I've got 51 minutes after the hour. We got a little bit of housekeeping to do. Alexis has her debut movie making thing that production she wants to share with us. So we don't want to miss out on that. But just in case we don't really get a good, clean wrap up, I do want to thank Kent and Brian and Jamie for taking time to share your experiences and knowledge with the group. We really do appreciate it. And Deepak, I appreciate you coming on spur of the moment there to step in and make some comments. I really appreciate that. Alexis, I'm going to hand it over to you and let you tell us what we need to do, or you can do whatever you need to do.
All right, thank you all. I appreciate it. So there's a couple things in the chat room I want to draw y'all's attention to. There is a document that has some highlighting questions about the Road Safety Champion program. We answer those questions, and at the very bottom of the document, there's a link to become a Road Safety Champion today. This is a simple Google form, and it goes straight to me. Really what it does, it allows you to have access to these trainings at no charge or reduced fee. I believe the 2 reduced fee classes are, if you take the maintenance and construction track, there's an OSHA class that is available to you at a reduced fee. And then it's a work zone safety, both planning and engineering and maintenance and construction. You need to take a work zone safety class. So we provide a class to you guys at a reduced rate than what you would find typically elsewhere. So as soon as you sign up, that is the perk of signing up, and you have Walt, Taryn, and myself helping you track your progress. If you guys have questions about classes, need resources, anything like that, we are here to help you guys. So that's another benefit of becoming a champion. And then once you complete the program, you get to meet Walt Catlett in person. So he will come travel to your office and hand deliver a certificate. It's just, it's always nice to put a face to the name, even over this virtual learning. So we try to build relationships with you guys, and we're just so happy that you guys attended today. So that is in the chat room. A link to register is there. The link to enroll in the program is there. A link to register for classes is there. We have one coming up Monday, July 25th, I believe is Monday. So go ahead and get enrolled and take that class at no charge. And then I'm going to show you a little commercial, just like Walt said. So after that, we'll kind of wrap up today's roundtable discussion, unless you guys have any questions.
Thanks, Alexis.
Real quick, if we've already taken some courses in the Road Safety Champion program, do we get credit for those?
Yes, you will.
Yes, definitely.
Yep, absolutely. And if you have taken work zone safety within the past year, that will also apply. All right. Walt, can you see my screen?
The Road Safety Champion program is a half-day hybrid format. We found that the half-day was really good option to not take away too much of your time, and to be able to keep you focused on a particular section without getting too tired. It makes it easy for someone to attend, and it also helped releasing the hybrid format kept you engaged. It wasn't just a show a video, although there are videos, but there was a component of coming back and having to have discussions that really kept everyone engaged.
Have employees or people that you know or care for that are in that type of job. If you're a family member, your husband, wife, sister, brother, mom, dad work in a work zone, it's important to learn about that and know what hazards they face every day and what we as a society can do to prevent injuries and fatalities in those type of situations, whether it's a traffic engineer who makes an intersection better or somebody who's working in a work zone who just wants to go home and have dinner with their family. If we can make it safer, it's well worth the investment and the time.
All right, you guys, any other questions?
I'm enrolled in a work zone safety class through VDOT. I think it's coming in September.
Okay,
Will that be sufficient for the road
Yes.
safety champion?
Yes, we will.
absolutely, yep. Yep, it'll count, you know, and basic work zone, if you're taking the maintenance and construction track, there's a basic work zone and flagger safety. So there's work zone and flagger safety. So basic work zone and intermediate work zone. If you take one of those two classes, it covers the work zone credit and the flagger certification credit.
I'll be doing the planning and engineering track. And,
Okay.
I think the course I'm enrolled in is an advanced.
All right, well then that will that will absolutely apply.
Cool.
Great question, Andy. Walt, did you want to add anything to that?
Nope, I just want to thank everybody for being here and hope to see you in the future. Hope you can join us for training on this road safety champion. And thanks once again to our guest speakers, Brian, Jamie, Kent, and Deepak. Thank y'all so much for being with us today. Y'all be safe and we'll see you around.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.